Right, so I'm outside Reason Coffee Shop, as you can see there, and I'm with...
Marlene Rhodes.
Hi Marlene. Now, we're talking this morning about the closure of Nascot Lawns Centre, which is a centre for severely disabled children.
And with disabled children with high medical need.
Okay, so if I've got my facts right, because we had an election, there's 2 months of a 6-month window that they're supposed to give you for telling you and informing you that this is going to close. What's the reasons that they've given for you that they're going to close the place?
So it's all to do with money.
Right.
Their funding has been cut. They've had an assessment. They've had to save millions of pounds over various services. So one of the things they decided to make the cut was from things that they're aspects that they're not legally responsible for.
Okay.
Of which Nascot Lawn social care is not something that they're legally responsible for. So that took effect from the end of the financial year.
Right.
However, they're legally responsible to give 6-month notice. However, then all the election processes came into play, so nothing could be announced to have any effect on the results of the election.
Yep.
So we effectively lost 2 months of the 6-month notice period.
Okay.
However, apparently that's okay. So instead of the 6-month notice,
you've got 4.
HSC got 4 months notice.
So who's currently funding it?
It's the CCGs that cover Hertfordshire.
Okay.
So at the moment they're covering it. However, it's the Three Valleys Commissioning Group that has pulled their funding. It doesn't affect currently. There are 10 families, 10 children that come from the north of the county.
Okay.
So their funding is still in place. However, that funding isn't enough to keep Nascot Lawn going because it's a relatively small number out there.
So what's the shortfall that you've been told for keeping it running?
The shortfall, this commissioning group funds 600,000, so that's the shortfall at the moment. So that's the cost of running the centre. The NHS say that there will still, that's not including the funding for the staff.
Yeah.
So, if initially they're saying if the 600,000 could be funded, then they can continue funding the nursing staff.
Okay.
All the staff aren't nurses. There's usually at least one nurse on every shift, sometimes 2, depending on the children on the rota, depending on the children that they have at the time, because there are some children that have more need and need more intervention than others. So they say they'll carry on funding the nursing staff, but it's the rest of it that they won't. So the idea is now that that nursing care will be provided wherever those children end up.
So 600,000 shortfall. You've already asked the question. If you could find that 600,000, could the centre to be kept open? And the answer was no. So there must be another reason.
Well, we've no idea why. I mean, there was a meeting that I asked that question because the wording that they kept giving was that their funding was being pulled. When we said no, the centre's closing. If your funding's cut, no, it's our funding's being cut. It's not that the centre's closing. But then at the same time, when I asked a question, if we found someone that could give us, or that people that could provide that 600,000, we were told no. So we've no idea what this conflict is all about, and so all we are looking at now, the only option is that we're being told that they have to be found alternatives by Hertfordshire County Council.
So let's put this into some kind of perspective. The place where this is a very prestigious, probably the most expensive part of Watford, and it's a fairly large area. How many children currently go there?
There's 49 children that stay overnight, and the number of nights they get a month varies, depending on their age, their need, the need of the family. That all comes into play when they're given, when they're assessed as to how many nights a month they get. Personally, my son's, as he's grown, the number of nights he's got has increased. And then there's also, I think the number is about, it brings it up to 62, something like that, where there are very, very young children that don't qualify yet for overnight, but where they have a lot of medical and physical disabilities. Their parents are given a few hours a week to, they're left with the nurses during the day, and their parents can go off and do shopping, do, just catching
Normal
up, go for a
things,
coffee with a friend that they can't do while they're, their children are attached to tubes and things. So, it just gives, even from a young age, when it's so full on, it gives them that few hours every week that they know they're being looked after. Because there's that thing that most of the children don't speak. They can't speak. A lot of them have learning disabilities. So to get to know our children takes a lot of time.
So just tell me how it personally would affect you, because I know you've got a child that goes there. So what most people won't even understand a fraction of what it means where if you don't have the opportunity to, if I get some respite, how will it affect you, for example? Massively.
I mean, it didn't kind of hit me till last week. It took me a long time to leave Declan overnight. We started off with tea visits. So to leave your child that has a lot of need, that doesn't understand anyone, and you think no one's going to understand him, I used to sit there sobbing. They used to have to, console me and, say it's okay to leave him overnight. So we started with the tea visits, eventually plucked up the courage to go for the one night. Literally in the last 2 or 3 months, we then, bearing in mind he's been going for 6 years or more, we then plucked up the courage a couple of months ago to leave him 2 nights in a row. That was it was just awful. It felt like it was a year. But, you kind of then realise actually you feel like you've had a rest. So last week, Declan came home on Monday night. It was an absolute nightmare. It was really hard work, really challenging behaviour-wise. He was just challenging in every way, and I had that knowledge that on Friday night he's going into respite. As awful as it sounds, I was desperate for the rest. And then I got really upset because I thought there's going to be a time when I won't have that Friday night or Wednesday night or whatever to look forward to know that I've only got another 5 nights, another 7 nights, and then I can have a break. And that's really hard. That's really tough. So, and there are other children that literally need 24-hour care. And when I mean 24-hour care, every hour, every half an hour, they need an intervention of some sort. So for those families, it's just crazy. But not only that, then you've got the impact on my other 2 children. I don't really get time to sit and chat to them or watch a film with them on the sofa or take my daughter out shopping for something that she wants. We've always got Declan in tow, trying to shop with someone that doesn't want to be there, that's making life really hard, that you can't get through a shop because their railings are all really close together, so I end up standing outside the shop while she goes in shopping. Just kind of defeats the object.
I mean, it seems to me that what we're doing here as a society is essentially attacking 2 things. We're attacking children, and not only that, who are vulnerable already, but also severely vulnerable children. It's like, there's a saying, society is measured by how you look after your vulnerable people. Yeah. This isn't the right way to go, is it?
No. And don't forget that Nascot Lawn is their social time. They all go, a lot of them come from the same school, or they've been to the same school, or they might go to a holiday club, so they're all mates. They're all friends. All children of any age have their friends. They have a sleepover at their house, or they go to others. It's not possible in our world. Yeah. It's not possible. And it's not possible for even my other children to have a sleepover when he's around because, his room is downstairs. We don't live in a big house, so it all has to happen. For the siblings, it has to happen when he's at Nascot Lawn, and when Declan's there, that's his time with his friends.
Yeah.
They'll put films on, they'll have tea parties, they'll be taken out to the park. It's a social thing as well as as well as respite for the family.
Yeah. So, where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here? We need the word to be spread and for people to realise, you know, what a massive impact this is going to have on so many different families. And not only that, what an impact it's going to have on the rest of the NHS. It's going to affect, there'll be families, you know, that are literally, you know, marriages or partnerships that are hanging on by a thread, and, you know, rely on that little bit of time. There's people, you know, a lot of us have suffered from depression, you know, and that's a massive thing. You know, you need to be able to cope, and sometimes when you can't cope, you know, it can have other massive effects. The siblings, you know, if they don't have the input from their parents, it affects their schooling, it'll affect their future, you know, how they grow up, how they see the world, how well they do in exams. You know, if they've constantly got a sibling that's constantly shouting in the house, and, you know, or all their attention is paid to them, and the parents don't have time to sit down and just help them a little bit with something they're stuck on. They already miss out on so much, that this overnight care just gives us the opportunity to give them that, you know, a small amount compared to, you know, other children of their age deserve. You know, it gives us that little bit of time that, you know, we can dedicate to them. So it's just kind of a case of, we need this place to stay open. You know, yes, I understand that the NHS have to pull their funding because they're not legally responsible. Hertfordshire County Council are legally responsible. However, it's not been really fair on them for this massive problem to be, you know, brought to their door with very, very little notice. So,
I mean, it seems to me that it's like almost like a short-term tick in the box, save a couple of £1 million, but actually no one's really thought through the implications of this.
No.
So, well, what I'll do is I'll get this uploaded today on YouTube. We'll get it shared out, and I will be going to see Richard Harrington, who's the MP for Watford, and see if we can turn it into something that saves Nascot Lawns, because obviously it's clearly a massive problem that people don't really understand in its entirety.
No.
Okay, well, thank you for talking to me.
Thank you very much.
Okay.